Can you introduce yourself and tell us what the Mulgoa Valley Landcare Group is and what you do?
Yes, my name's Lisa and I'm the coordinator of Mulgoa Landcare, and we're a volunteer group based in Mulgoa Valley, part of Penrith, and we've been volunteering in conserving environment for the last 30 years, so a long time. What do? We do a lot of restoration of habitat and caring for bushland, taking out the weeds, allowing bush to recover.
We were just speaking about biodiversity. Can you explain what that actually is?
Yes, so biodiversity is just it's quite simple. It's just the amount of different types of plants and animals that make up our local environment. So we're really lucky here in Australia. We have really diverse environments. It means we've got lots of different plants in any sort of native plant community and lots of different animals and insects that live in those communities. So that's what biodiversity is. So when we lose biodiversity, it means that plants become extinct or locally extinct. Likewise, some animals become extinct. We lose them from our environment, and that all has an impact on the health of your ecosystem. Yes, so we're actually doing a lot of work here at the moment with the support of some funding from the New South Wales Government, the Western Sydney Infrastructure Grant. We've been awarded some funding to support platypus habitat restoration. And typically that really just means removing weeds, making the creek line vegetation community much healthier, and that gives us a diversity of insects, which actually gives the platypuses a diversity of water bugs, because the insects often lay their eggs in the water. So it gives the platypuses something to eat, and we know that the platypuses will visit if they have lots of water bugs to forage for.
How many platypuses do we think are there in the Penrith creeks and tributaries?
We think not many.
Yeah.
We think that, yes, we think we're very fortunate to still have them, and that's a really positive thing. But the amount of work that Western Sydney University researchers are doing in terms of understanding population size and distribution, how far our little platypuses are going each night to forage, and there's so much that we don't know. But an example is, our platypus researchers in one night at Genolan Caves trapped 3 platypuses. We've spent, I think, about 12 nights over the last 3 years here at Mulgoa Creek, and we haven't managed to net and monitor any platypuses. So we know they're here because we can check for their DNA, but we think it's only very intermittent when the conditions are absolutely perfect for them.
And why do you think the population is so small? Is it a loss of habitat, or
Yes.
what do you think?
I think it is. I think we do really bad things to our waterways. We tend to not leave sufficient bush corridors on each side of the creek. Therefore, we set up situations where you might have exposed creek banks, the wrong type of vegetation. You might get a lot of erosion, sedimentation in the creeks. Simply velocity of water. So if we get a rain event and you've got an urban development nearby, the velocity of water coming in from those hard stand areas into creek systems and whooshing through and taking soil and debris and the right sort of features that a platypus would search for in a creek, that kind of vanishes with the more growth we have and the more development we have.
What are the major impactors of Penrith's natural environment? Is it things like littering, car pollution, or just simply more houses going up?
You would have to say all of the above, unfortunately. So definitely littering. We know that 5 deceased platypuses have been found in the Nepean River and down around the Weir area just in the last 18 months. And I think 4 out of those 5 were the poor old platypus had become entangled in discarded fishing line. So, that's a form of pollution. I think Penrith City Council are about to launch a really important campaign to educate the fishermen along the Nepean River to actually, if your line gets entangled, don't cut it and leave it, please cut it. They're going to put bins out. So we're trying to get that message out to the broader community about caring for platypuses in that way. Another platypus in the Nepean was found with a simple hair elastic that had obviously, found its way into our creek system, maybe from a schoolyard, a weather event, runoff. In it goes into our sort of stormwater drains out into the Nepean River. The little beak, the little bill of our platypuses as it sort of forages, it must have come, caught on the end, and it's rolled its way down and actually strangled the poor animal. So, yes, rubbish is a thing that really impacts aquatic ecosystems. so is pollution. Like, so is even brake dust from your brake pads when you brake, heavy metals. You know, you get that sort of horrible black slimy stuff on your wheels when you wash the car. When we get a rain event, that washes down into stormwater. It's full of heavy metals. And so the Western Sydney University researchers are also testing these animals for contaminants in their system. They test their hair, their fingernails, send it off to the lab, and they can actually get information back about just how revolting our creek systems actually are, because all those contaminants are in the platypus's system. So, yeah, unfortunately. But urban development, loss of natural bushland area. So the bushland beside creeks actually acts as a filter. It slows that runoff of water down, but actually filters out pollutants as well. And so if we don't have a healthy, strong corridor of bushland on each side of our waterways, we don't get that natural filtration system occurring. So when we see those old-fashioned ways of, concrete channels, just like allowing that urban runoff straight into the Nepean, there's been no natural filtration system. Yeah.
What can the average Penrith resident do to help minimise their impact on our waterways and on our platypus friends?
Gosh, there's so much you can do. I mean, simply from educating family, friends, work colleagues about the fishing line issue. Let's, not discard our fishing lines. Let's keep plastics and pollutants out of our waterways. Let's not just willy-nilly spray spiders' webs and things. Your backpack spray the whole house with pesticide. That ultimately, when we get the next shower of rain, that washes down. That doesn't break down. That ends up in our creeks. So there's lots of things that you can do. Reducing the amount of surfactants that you use when you wash your car, that's going to end up in the creek as well. So many yucky things end up in our creeks, and it makes it really tricky for our platypuses to thrive and survive, because it actually, you imagine the pesticides that kill the spiders, it also kills the water bugs. So we don't want that happening, because that's what the platypuses eat. So I don't know what you do about the sort of urban expansion. That's a never-ending issue, but I think we need to work harder at recovering the vegetation along our waterways to keep that, nice and healthy habitats.
Looking forward 10 or 20 years, what does Penrith's natural environment and creeks look like to you?
They'll look beautiful, like this little patch that we're recovering here just at the moment, because we're all going to work really hard. Join your local land care group, join the council's bush care group. There's so much to be done. If you've got a spare couple of hours every month, there's something that you can do, roll your sleeves up and physically, there's no amount of government funding that's going to solve this sort of, biodiversity crisis. We all have to play a role. And if you're really worried about it, the best thing you can do is actually, come down and actually do some work along the creek. It's actually not a bad pastime, really. It's quite, quite meditative, really.
Yeah.
Yes, so getting involved, physically involved in habitat restoration is really rewarding. And I always say, look, we all love Penrith, we all love to live here, and you ask someone what they love most about where they live, they usually choose something, a natural feature like, I love the river, I love going for bushwalks at, some reserve, I love, visiting a beach or the harbour. People love nature. It's just that they don't put enough energy back into nature. And I hope that sort of message, I would encourage people to understand that we all need to play a role.